So your dad came over to the United States
from Germany.
From Germany.
Yeah, they're German.
Really?
Yeah, Brandschaedel. Our name was Brandschaedel, and then they cut it to Brandt.
Brandschaedel.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I'll be darned. You thought I was a Polak.
I don't know where I got that from then. You're a babushka or something. So you were Germans.
Yeah. German and Bohemia, and Broadway on the east side of Cleveland. That's where we were all born and raised there. We went to Catholic school there. Well, he had a lot of brothers and sisters, so they all, I think there was 8. Yeah, there was a big family. In fact, he was born, I think he was born on the ship coming over.
Your grandmother would have been pregnant with him on the way over here?
Yeah.
And you think that he was born on the way over here?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he was a hard worker. He was a lead burner. They don't teach that in school. You learn it from father to son.
Money or no?
Yes.
They did?
Lead burners made a lot of money because it was a trade that they needed, but they didn't teach it in school.
Yeah.
I don't know why. What did they do now with the flame?
I don't know.
I don't know what soldering or something. I don't know what they call it now. But I don't even know if they do it anymore.
They do it anymore, probably not. I haven't heard of it.
They worked in submarines.
Really?
Uh-huh. And my dad and my brother, when my brother learned the trade, he worked with my dad. He was my dad's helper then, the oldest one, Elmer. Well, then after my dad died, then my brother kept lead burning, and then my brother went all over New York, New Jersey, and he bought a trailer, and his wife and kids went in the trailer, and wherever the union would send them on jobs.
So he would be out of the house during the week?
Yeah. My dad...
To do a job? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh yeah. He would be gone for...
Weeks at a time, maybe?
a long time sometimes, and there was 5 of us kids, and we were the oldest one. My sister Eleanor would take care of us. And that's how it was. And then my dad was young when my mother died. He was probably in his early 40s maybe when my mother died. And of course he liked to go out and have a good time too. So eventually he had a girlfriend, but they never got married. She was very nice. I even forget her, Irma or something like that. I forget her name. But they used to go out every Friday night dancing, and he used to take us too. And at the time, we were allowed to go in the bars and even have a beer.
Yeah.
But not anymore. And after my dad got, 70-something, he was living with my brother in
Elmer?
Hudson. Yeah, Elmer. Yeah. And he was, picking cherries or picking something from the trees. I don't know if it was apples or cherries or what. And he fell and broke his arm, and I don't know what else he done internally. But it wasn't very long after one thing and then another, and then he got really sick, and then he passed away. So your mother was probably around 7.
So they had a chance to get to know him a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure because he gave me money to get Karen a bicycle for her communion because Vincent wouldn't give me. Everything had to go in the bank. And what good did it do, But yeah, my dad gave me, in fact, my dad gave me money for divorce because I didn't have any. I was working at General Electric, made good money, brought it home, and it went right in the bank. I was dumb. I was a young kid, and Vincent was older than I was. And, but then when we lived in Willoughby, I had gotten a new car, and I had 3 gals that rode with me,
Yep.
and they gave me money for gas. Well, I never told Vincent about that, so I kept that money. So I used some of that money for the kids then, you know.
So your dad was kind of always there for you
Oh, yeah.
when you needed him
Yeah.
to bail you out of a
Yep.
situation.
Yep.
For the
He was-
divorce and for.
For all of us.
Hmm.
You know, not only for me, but he was good to all of us.
What can you remember about your dad's personality?
Oh, he was a lot of fun. He liked to sing. You know, in fact, one of his favorite songs was in German,
Really?
and it was, I can't even remember anymore. But when he'd have a few beers, then he'd start.
Singing the song.
In fact, he had this great big thing that we had on the wall, and it was a German song, and he'd sing it.
Like a poster that you had in the house?
Uh-huh. Something like Jada Nitz and Schnitzelbunk or something like that. It went like that. I can't remember all of it anymore. But when he'd have a few beers, that's what he'd sing. Yeah. We used to dance a lot. You know, Daddy liked to dance. The polka, of course.
Yeah. Are there any parts of your personality or who you are that you think you inherited from your dad?
Well, he was pretty good-natured. I mean, things didn't bother him, but sometimes I think I'm pretty good-natured.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But I think I probably take after my mother more,
Okay.
because she was Bohemian, and they always said she was a stubborn bohunk, and that's where well, she loved her family, and you know how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, her kids came first, and after she got sick and she was in bed a lot, then my dad, like I said, he was still young, and on payday nights he would stop at the bar, you know, and practically spend his whole pay. There was women there, and you know, he forgot to come home sometimes. So and that's another reason why her parents had nothing to do with him, because he drank a lot at that time. And
Her name was Anna Kubu?
uh-huh. And my mother is Bohemian. She was born here, but her parents were from Bohemia. But there is no more Bohemia.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's all Czechoslovakia or whatever it is now.
By Bohemian parents?
Yeah,
Who had immigrated?
yeah.
Okay.
She had 2 sisters. One sister was Mary, but I don't know the other sister.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Mary was really a nice woman, but the other one, they kind of disinherited my mother because she married my dad. My mother, they were very strict Catholic, my mother's side, and my dad wasn't. And you know, back then, years ago, you know,
that was a big deal.
Yeah, and so they disinherited her, and I don't even know if my mother ever seen, after they got married, her mother, or her sister. But the other one, Aunt Mary, they got along. In fact, after my mother passed away, I would go to visit Aunt Mary a lot. I often wished I could stayed with her because, you know, they were so nice. And after she had 5 children, and I can remember a lot on, I think it was on a Wednesdays and Saturdays was her bacon day. And she used to do all that good bakery and bread. And she had this old wooden stove in the kitchen. And she had wood and coal that we had to keep the oven going, you know. Yeah. And she used to bake And she made noodles, and we used to have noodles hanging over big round things like this. She'd have it draped over chairs to dry out, and then when they were all dried, then she'd cut them up.
Wow. What kind of food did your mom make?
Pork dumplings and sauerkraut.
Potato dumplings?
Potato dumplings.
Those are some of her recipes, the ones that you make.
Yeah.
The ones that you make for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of chicken, chicken noodle soup and all kind of different, not fried chicken.
No.
Because I don't know if that wasn't the rage then or not, but
Probably
we always had chicken a lot because it was cheaper, I don't know. But we had noodles and chicken and like a casserole of some kind. But pork was our main. She liked pork. Spaghetti, I never even heard of spaghetti back then, I don't think. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I never heard of spaghetti. Or, of course, never heard of pizza,
Yeah.
That never came out till...
Oh, I feel like...
Because I remember my first pizza when Vincent and I moved to Connecticut. And we got to know some people, and we went to this bar with all of them, and they ordered pizza. And I never knew what pizza was, and they brought this great big pizza pie out, and everybody stood up. You had to stand up, when they brought this pizza up. I thought that was weird, but I thought that's what they did. So, well, at the time, they call it leakage of the heart. I don't know what they call it now. Mm-hmm. Just some kind of heart trouble now, but yeah, it was something that was already there,
Yeah.
I don't think it was anything that she did, or
Right.
It was just something that happened to her heart. Probably had a hole in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. If they called it leakage of the heart, you
Yeah.
would think, her heart had a hole in it and it was leaking. I don't know. Years ago, that's what they called it, leakage of the heart. And her legs would get swelled up full of water, and she'd have to go to the hospital, and they called it tapping. They tap the water out of her legs, and she was in bed a lot. And I'd crawl in bed with her. I remember that. Her bed was in the dining room all the time. So.
How old were you?
Probably 5, 6.
So your mom passed away when you were really young.
Yeah. I'll never forget when I was making my communion, and Shirley Temple was all the rage. And we used to go to this one store on Broadway. It was not a haberdashery, because that's for men, but it was for women and children. And I seen this beautiful dress. I don't know, I must have been about 7 or 8. I seen this beautiful dress that I wanted, and my mother put it in the layaway, and she'd pay so much on. And then when I was making my communion, we got up real early in the morning, and she made locks. She had an iron, and she made locks in my hair just like Shirley Temple. And this dress was a Shirley Temple dress. Whenever we did anything, we made communion or stuff like that, he would come to church to see that. But and then after my mother passed away, and we belonged to St. Wenceslaus. That was the church we belonged to and the school we went to. Mm-hmm. Well, that was during Depression, and my dad didn't have very much money bringing up 5 kids, And after she died, and it was winter in January. I remember that. In January she died. And the priest didn't even put heat in the church because we couldn't pay anything. And that really finished it with my dad, with the Catholics,
Mm-hmm.
He thought, that they could have at least put heat in the church for the funeral. Yeah.